At this point, looks like, unless you're gonna have a meeting within a week or two, okay? And now we're pressing right up against Thanksgiving. We will not be able to publish the budget unless you're just gonna roll over last year's budget.
If that's what it is,
Yeah,
that's what it
that
is.
would probably be the
I
best
have
thing
no
right now.
problem, and I don't believe I'll let Mr. Forrest speak his mind on that. I have no problem rolling over last year's budget.
I concur.
Okay, because you do realize there's not a whole lot of money in there in case something happens and you'd be in special assessment territory. That's my legal obligation. So long as you understand you have so little money in the bank that if something should happen, and I'm not saying it's going to,
And,
that special
and
assessment.
this I'm going to ask of Premier Management.
Steve, can you speak up?
Under no circumstances do checks get cut by Premier without first being approved or acknowledged by Mr.
Please.
Your accounts payable, says Mr. Ford,
He can
An
log
email?
into the system anytime he wants.
and he can,
All
so
he
he
ever had
gets
to do was
notice.
ask.
Steve, can you speak up and tell us how much money is in our budget,
Reserves.
in the account?
See, in the accounts, reserve was 6,000
It's
roughly.
6,000 and there's 23,000 in cash.
And that's small change?
That is small change if something should happen.
What-
An
what could-
emergency, excuse
But what's
me.
being done? All we're getting
Yeah,
done
what
is.
What
That was
emergency?
what
The
this,
ground
Is the
mode.
ground
Amanda,
mode?
I know
You
that's
asked-
what this was about.
that's what this was about, because the bids for taking care of the landscaping came in almost twice of what you're paying today.
Are we
So
allowed to
again-
see what the bids are?
Absolutely, if you want to, you're.
And they're mowing behind when they don't need to, so I think we're paying for something we don't need.
Well,
They
again,
mowed
this is,
behind me,
I
it
do
didn't
all my
even need to be
grass
mowed.
removal, my landscaping too, so.
and
So-
yet I get more calls a week that the grass has not been mowed
Well,
properly behind you.
regardless,
So
it's the
again,
budget, we're talking the budget,
the
that's all.
budget, but that impacts how much you wanna pay, okay?
I agree.
Now, I put out the RFP in June, nobody responded. You know why? Because the amounts were a lot more than you had paid in the past, and they all talked to each other. So the board went out and met with the RFPs. Stone's here,
We need 40 members.
Stone is in your own neighborhood,
Quorum.
and his bid is twice what you're paying today.
Been here since 2009.
I got a question for the remaining members here.
I know.
Where do we go from here with two members gone, leaving?
Well, Rebecca didn't resign, she didn't resign.
Neither did Tracy, she didn't resign.
How do we motion to remove her if she's not willing to address the
Again,
issue?
you have the right to go to the website, the DBPR, and you can start a recall.
I would be willing to be a board member, if you just need a board member for a vote, right? You've got the officers covered.
You're not on the agenda, so we'd have to have another agenda.
Well, whatever, I
We
throw
need
it
to
out
have-
there.
We need to have a quorum.
Can I ask, is Tracy the reason why the meetings have been canceled? It
No.
wasn't- Well, then, okay.
It's
I'm-
been
then
equal.
I'm
It's
not-
been equal.
Okay.
You
just explained it.
Is
Okay.
that true?
What?
Is that true, guys?
Yeah.
Who are the majority of who are the majority of the people that have to be rescheduled around?
We gotta be careful about stepping into that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And-
I get that.
There's only
I
4
get
meetings
that.
per year. 4.
Then maybe it needs to change.
Well, and that's
Well, the
something
other,
you can
the
talk
other,
about.
need
the other
to have
thing,
some
the other
changes
thing
made,
being is, Sheila McCollum is under contract to be here 4 times per year. She's been here more than that. In my opinion, we do not need a management company president at every meeting, okay, for us to conduct our regular business, as long as we have either Mr. Eyeball here. Yes, I'm recording. Yes, you can record.
Absolutely.
Oral recordings, video recordings, they are perfectly legal. This is a public forum.
So again, one of the bids I was asked to bring was to go to county only, to do one drive. I mean, again, this was supposed to be a meeting to discuss whether you wanted to go to just a county only and take over the other items yourself.
To
I'm
me,
not-
when I got this mailed out budget, there was so many holes in this thing, it wasn't funny. Yanked my
Not a
chain,
budget.
okay? And I'm sure it yanked yours,
Yes, it did.
okay? There should have been at least 2 meetings prior to this one to digest all of the information, put out for RFPs. Our frontage, the right side monument wall area there, that landscape, we got dead bushes. But yet, we're sending out notices to homeowners for dead bushes.
We got a dead
Okay.
squirrel in the sidewalk. I just saw it.
So
I'll
where do you
take care
want,
of that.
so where do you guys wanna go from here?
This is gonna be a rollover. There's nothing else we can do at this point. It's a rollover.
So instead
Can
of
we
Chris-
ask some general questions on the budget?
I'll
Or
be
no?
glad to,
Well, just, when you look at some, like what's spent, first of all, is I should just ignore this whole paper. Is that what you're saying? Like the first column, it says year-to-date, June 30th, is that actual spent?
Yes.
Okay, and then projected 12/31, that's projected so
Yeah.
far. What date was that? Was that like the end of September when this was projected? Was this 9 months of
Probably
numbers?
August.
Okay, so 8 months. Okay,
No,
so.
no, 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 no. Okay, so in June, at the end of June, when I get those June financial statements sometime in July, by
Okay.
July 20th,
Sure.
okay? I take that amount, I divide it by 2, because I try to get an earlier step on the budget than most,
Okay.
okay?
Okay,
And then we look at those numbers and we say, most of that is under contract,
okay.
okay? So if
Sounds
you
good.
take that and divide by 6 and multiply by 12, that's what we kind of
Okay.
project. And then my big point to boards, what projects do you wanna take on next year that we really have to look at the
Okay.
dollars for?
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
And that is where I need,
Where you come up with this.
well,
okay.
and it's a guess.
Yes,
You know, and
yes.
they get to look at it and say, no, I think we need to trim here, or we need to do this. Or we have other projects like walkways, and maybe we need to be putting $2,000 a year away because eventually we're going to have to renovate or do
Sure.
something.
Absolutely.
Okay?
I understand.
Not all your walking trails, no,
My-
just
my-
sidewalks.
Just
my intention
Just
tonight,
the sidewalks.
just wanna throw this out there so everybody knows, my intention tonight, if I had quorum here, I'd be proposing a motion to do a reserve study. Everybody know what a
Yeah.
reserve study
But we
is?
did that.
Okay. We never had a reserve study.
They're about $2,500, and what they tell you is how much you should be putting away, okay? And again,
I
and one
already
of those,
have one RFP for a reserve study. I would like to have at least 2 more. I will be,
I can get you Drew Isaacs, reserve advisors, and,
Drew Isaacs, I already have them.
okay.
Can
And
I ask
reserve
what we need
advisors are-
reserves for? What big capital expenditures do
Sheila?
we anticipate that we need
Only the-
reserves?
Here's where you're gonna have issues, around the trails and any kind of movement, okay?
So like, what did
And
we
the-
spend
wait,
so
wait,
far?
And the signage,
Yeah,
okay, so this year we spent $4,000 on the trail, but you weren't here.
no, that's
But there was a
fine, just so that we
major break
understand.
and it was a major issue, so we had that
Okay.
repaired. I don't
How many-
think the rest
how
of
many
the road
slabs-
Fine, so that comes under community improvement. Is that-
Exactly.
How many
Okay.
slabs needed to be repaired
The
for that?
reserve study would cover
I don't
like
remember,
your-
about
your-
4 or
your-
5, but
your
it
park
wasn't
pergola,
that,
for
it wasn't
instance.
leveled, it had to be
Okay.
re-leveled and
That's gonna have a
everything else.
life
It was huge issue.
expectancy of.
Okay,
X
I
number
just
of
wanna make
years.
sure we're not overspending on things
So
for
we
no
don't
reason.
I'm cheap.
Is this reserve study something that Joe could do? Joe's a CPA. He
No,
has
it's
volunteered his
usually a
time.
professional engineer, and I'll tell you why you want somebody who's not in the community.
Okay,
Because you don't want anybody pointing fingers at them.
okay.
The reserve study is done by professional engineers. They have all the data in the database that's not only local, but countrywide. So what they can do is look at how much it costs for cement here in this area, how often they think you should be looking at replacing of certain things, okay? One of the big issues, and I'll just tell you in your community, although the county has them, is the oaks in the easements. Because eventually those will eat at your roads and at your sidewalks. And if you were private, I would be talking to you about taking those out, because that is such a big expense. Over time, he'll tell you, those oaks are killers. They're the cities, and yet I think maybe the ARB would like to deal with that issue sometime down the road, so that if you see issues and it starts moving your sidewalks, I will tell you, you can have the county come out and grind your sidewalks the first time. The second time, they start to crumble, and it takes maybe 3 or 4 years to get them to come out and redo them. So these are all issues that you kind of have to get a good feel for before you can make some judgments on whether you'd want to patch that because somebody's going to trip on it, an HOA liability, not a county liability, or at least a HOA and a county shared liability, okay? So those are just those things that the reserve study helps you with that walkway, which I really don't have a good guess for you. I just couldn't even guess at it. I wish I could, but I can't. I don't have anybody with this much in trails. So it would be a good idea to have an engineer come out and say, hey, every 10 years with Florida and where they're located, you're probably gonna see $10,000–15,000 worth of fixes, okay? French drains, something else, whatever. The sign, okay, the sign I know about what it's worth, I don't know, what was the property insurance, about 25,000, I think?
I
So
didn't
again,
look
it
at
has
the
to be
exact dollar
repointed
value
every
on the
10 or
coverage.
15 years, depending on the rain. And then the lettering, in Florida, lettering doesn't last that long, maybe 10 years, because of the rain and the heat and everything else, you have to kind of get them replaced.